Hello everyone, welcome back to Ansarkari. So taking up important topics from 27th of October. Israel hits Iran's military sites, 4 soldiers killed. So we've been talking about how this conflict between Israel and Hamas, it has turned into a wider regional conflict. We have talked about that this has become a three-tier war. First tier between Israel, Hamas, Israel, Hezbollah. Second tier between the proxy players like US, and then involvement of Iran, somewhere involvement of Yemen and the Houthi rebels. And the third tier is indirectly, which is impacting, like having economic impacts on the countries which are not participating in the conflict, like increase in the trade cost, or when we're talking about the impacts on India. So the trade cost is increased by approximately 20%. Like the trading routes, they have become much more longer. They have to be taken through Cape of Good Hope in order to ensure the security. So mission targeted missile factors, military facilities in several regions have been attacked by Israel. So Netanyahu aimed at sending a clear message to Iran. Main purpose of the attack appeared to be sending a clear message that Israel can reach anywhere in Iran, but at the same time, his decision to go for a limited attack, it shows a signs of caution. But again, how can we see that again? That this is also includes signs of caution because destruction is anyway is happening. It is leading to violation of human rights. It is leading to civilian deaths. So there's no point of being cautious in a war. Even if it is a minor attack, it is again very destructive. So, which the Iranians might see as a result of their hybrid deterrence at the same time. So, these are the things, and we are talking about how to bring a peace because, again, no one wins a war, as it has been clearly stated by India. So, reaching the peace should be the main objective now. But again, the situation right now does not signals any toward, like there's any intention moving towards peace. Then Cyclone Dana, we've been talking about in the Bay of Bengal region, 2 more deaths reported in West Bengal. So in this, yesterday also we were talking about the conservation of Sundarbans. Firstly, that is important because they act as a natural barrier against mitigating the intensity of these cyclones, particularly in the coastal region. So when there's a landfall of a cyclone, so they play very important role. Then importance of, again, IMD, and we're talking about hyper localized forecasting system, so that we can prepare at the local level. The involvement of, again, the district authorities. So zero casualty is the main objective when we see any cyclone, tropical cyclone hitting the district. So it is the Purba Bardhaman district of West Bengal. And role of, again, Municipal Corporation of India becomes very important. Role of, again, the SDRF and NDRF is important here. And we often talk about the model of Odisha. So Kyonjar district and IMD is near the depression. So tracking the movement of the cyclone over North Odisha moved slightly westwards during the past 6 hours. So farmers in Madhya Pradesh, India's soya bean state, battered by rain and betrayed by prices. So two factors, rain and the prices, directly impacting firstly the economic security and the income stability of the farmers. So we are talking about shift towards climate resilient agriculture, more precision based agriculture, in order to make it more resilient towards the impact of climate change, be it like the changing pattern and the intensity of the rainfall. Like we are seeing that there are increased instances of torrential rainfall. So low yield is another factor that has been affecting their income. The fact is that Madhya Pradesh is known as India's soybean state. Challenges is because we see that also this is the challenges not only on the part of the farmers but on the part of consumers also, because of again limited or the fall in the produce and the yield because of the rain. The prices, food inflation is definitely going to go up. So here the importance of, we can talk about the technology or the importance of crop rotation, crop diversification becomes important. Even the role of agri startups will be playing important role in terms of assessing the quality of the soil and which crop is more suitable with the changing scenario and the different conditions. So Indian Institute of Soybean Research is there. This is important institutional stakeholder. So India has produced approximately 14 million tons of soybean in 2023. So role of agricultural produce market committee is important. Madhya Pradesh in Indore. So there's long waiting time, and this definitely affects even the quality of the produce. The longer the waiting time, the more is the deterioration in the quality of the produce that is seen. So they've lined up on both the sides of the shaded platform, waiting for the traders to bid on their crop. So we can talk about important role of again the government e-marketplace, which is a digital portal which helps in seamless connectivity between the farmers. And again, because of the crop damage, role of crop insurance is important. So here, even we have the scheme of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So it is, we can say that things have to work in a multi-dimensional manner. And also, India ranks fourth in terms of total sowing area for the soybean after US, Brazil, and Argentina. And in terms of produce, so this was in terms of production, or sorry, in terms of total sown area. In terms of production, India ranks fifth after China. So crops potential is India's soybean it is largely seen as an oilseed crop. So we are again focusing more upon the increasing the domestic production of oilseeds under the National Oilseed Mission as well. So one example is soybean, and this we can take as an entire case study, how things are changing on the ground. So locally इसको खली बोलते हैं सोयाबीन को. So even this is also like soybean se make soya meal, which is also used to feed the cattle. So if prices are going to increase in the market for the end consumers, this would be increasing the price of the fodder, which will be impacting the growth of the livestock industry at the same time. And it is very, we can say, rich in protein, and it has all 9 amino acids. So very important when we're talking about the diversification of Indian food diet at the same time, and also nutritional security. So there was earlier production boom in Indore and surrounding areas. So it is a kharif crop. So we see that again, India is a diverse country, be it related to the culture and the traditions that we have. So harvest ritual, like Baisakhi, it is also related to the harvest ritual in northern India and Punjab. So in this picture, you can see tribals are celebrating Puthari. It is a local harvest festival in Tamil Nadu. Gudalur is the region. So local Modhanan, Chettis, Panyas, Irulas, Kurumbas, Kotas, and Todas of the Nilgiris. So it falls just before the paddy is ready for the harvest. So Uthari celebrated in Tamil Nadu. We have seen the important tribes who celebrated together and in harmony, and this is related to before harvesting the paddy. So $25 million pandemic fund goes to curb the zoonotic diseases. So zoonotic diseases, we talk about the One Health approach. That should be the main focus, and that we are seeing as also the Indian government is focusing upon the One Health approach with the increasing instances and events related to zoonotic diseases, which spreads from animals to humans. So the government has launched a project to improve animal health security in partnership with the multilateral development banks, which includes Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and Food and Agriculture Organization in integrity. So this is the trinity that we can talk about in our answers as well. So pandemic fund is going to curb the zoonotic diseases. So this we are seeing because of the pressure that is being built up because of the rise in zoonotic diseases. And I guess we were not so prepared to deal with such rise. So even a few days back, we were talking about the Niti Aayog's report about the future pandemic preparedness. So having a comprehensive law was one thing. Having a vaccine bank is another thing. Having, again, epidemiological forecasting system is very important in this context to be better prepared towards the future pandemics. So G20 countries center started the work on this $25 million G20 pandemic fund was made to improve animal health in India as part of an effort to improve preparedness and our response to the pandemics. So animal security, and it includes upgrading, expanding animal health laboratories which are there. So we can also talk about the National Institute of Virology in Pune, developing laboratory networks. It will curb the zoonotic diseases. And of late, we have been seeing, for example, Zika virus, or the main vector is like fruit bats. Major incidences are seen in the state of Kerala. So this is one new addition that we can talk about when it comes to future pandemic preparedness, G20 Pandemic Fund project. So it is related to, again, endangering human health. We're talking about One Health approach, human population transmission rate increases, nutrition security, and livelihoods of the vulnerable population gets affected with this. So these are the socio-economic impacts of it. And we have a global health security index with a high level of environmental risk and public health vulnerability. So 60% of the pathogens that cause human diseases, they are coming from domestic animals or wildlife. And 75% of emerging human pathogens are of animal origin. So that is the risk associated with it. So upgrading the data management systems, particularly we've talked about having a vaccine bank, and in terms of data management, safety of data is equally important. We can link it with the, again, digital health ID as well when it comes to analyzing and assessing the changing trend. Enhancing analytics capabilities will enable better risk assessment, improve decision making, effective communication strategies. So both having to strengthen the institutional capacity at both the national and the regional level is important for disaster management framework of the livestock sector. So it's an important topic. ED attaches rupees 163 crore assets in Bengal recruitment scam. So role of ED is important. And this, again, the role of ED and CBI has been a part of debate when it comes to the challenges related to the government, that has it been able to function in an unbiased manner or not, in a transparent manner or not, and then the general consent debate around the CBI. So unfair appointments was the main issue in the conspiracy here. Coming to science topics, transplant recipients demystify the fate of donated stem cells. So we have talked about pluripotent stem cells and totipotent stem cells. So totipotent are also called the embryonic stem cells. They are having the maximum potential to transform themselves into different tissues and the organs in the body. So they are of like the maximum potential and the uh, use when it comes to dealing with the treatment of different diseases. Like it can help us in treating cancer as well. So transplant related to stem cells. So survival of the hematopoietic stem cell transplant sheds light on how transplanted stem cells from the donors change after engraftment, and they are mutating over time. Rate of mutations were tracked. So for us, different types of stem cells and how they work is important. So Meghalaya polio case details and WHO. So since India is polio free, so here, despite knowing the results of a case on August 12 and the follow-up results, child's immunological profile, virus circulation community before. So deafening silence related to this case as far as WHO is concerned. So there's no official statement so far. So ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, and National Institute of Virology, Mumbai unit, which is based in Pune, had shared results of this case to the Health Ministry in WHO. So before mid-September, the tests were taken up by the child's. So I think this was related to the nasal vaccine, which led to polio virus in the child. So it is related to that. So we another fact is Global Polio Eradication Initiative. It has remained silent about this case, that how it has actually happened. So is it somewhere related to Zika virus or something is another thing? And again, being secretive about Zika cases in Gujarat. So there should be more transparency when it comes to data sharing in order to again curb the diseases. So different types like VDP, VDPV type 1 for the polio case. So this is immunodeficiency related vaccine derived polio virus. It is that case. So no more updates about this. Cool water at the ocean surface increases the carbon absorption. So this is one new fact, as we've been talking about off late, that with the increasing rate of retreating of the glaciers, when the melted water it reaches the surface, comparatively, it is having more potential to uh, absorb the carbon. But here, even cool water is also having the same potential. We can talk about the ocean skin जो ऊपर वाला layer होता है, is a silver sliver less than 2 mm deep at the ocean surface. So theoretical and lab work suggested. So 30% of the carbon is stored in the oceans. So this leads to ocean acidification and impacts the marine ecosystem. What does H5N1 virus in cattle humans portend? So there's been no documented human to human transmission of the virus so far. So this is the avian influenza, and major cases were seen again in 2020. So there was a widespread global outbreak carried particularly by the migratory birds. So again, One Health approach becomes important even in this case also. So we're talking about the at the G20, we made this the pandemic fund worth, which would be again having $25 million of aid support. So US Department of Agriculture confirmed the avian influenza H5N1 as the cause behind even the dropping milk production in the cattle. So the same avian influenza was detected in cattle. So initial outbreak was caused by sublineages. So it is impacting definitely not the humans also, but even like economic growth of poultry industry and the livestock industry as well. So resilience is important, and we have discussed this in detail. So apart from this, like genomic surveillance is important. We need to have methods that provide us early warning systems, enhanced disease monitoring. So in this, we were talking about the data analytics previously, improve preparedness by identifying potential risk early. So even another challenge is the evolution of these different types of viruses, which might become risky with time. How will LAC agreement with China pan out on the border? So we've been talking about this from past few days. So as India focused upon the de-escalation and disengagement with China along the LAC in Eastern Ladakh, so we have agreed to go ahead with patrolling to create buffer zones where patrolling would not be allowed. And again, even in the eastern sector, in the Arunachal Pradesh, also this would be applicable. So we have lost control over 26 of the 65 patrolling points along the LAC. So what is happening at the ground? So there were a series of political, diplomatic, military level meetings and talks. So detail the technical agreement for the ground implementation was concluded between corps commanders of the two countries. So sharing of the data is also important, both the sides, in order to ensure that peace is maintained. Then India's Vibrant Village program is also playing important role here. For example, 2020, when talking about the clashes. So Doklam issue was one, then 2020, Nakula in northern Sikkim. So even China building infrastructure is also another area of concern, even building of dams. So Yangtze in Arunachal Pradesh. So regarding this also, there was an understanding as we were talking about the eastern sector. So way forward, firstly, is again the diplomatic channel. As we are talking about political, diplomatic, and military talks, we've been able to come to this agreement. So role of border roads organization, and when we're talking about institutional stakeholders, Karakoram Pass, we should know between which two mountain ranges is there. Safety of civilians should be a priority. So even this road, talk about Daulat Beg Oldie, India's positions at this, bringing Chinese troops more closer. Depsang we've been talking about in the Ladakh, Depsang, Demchak, Demchok, semi-nomadic community of the Changtang region, which is in again Ladakh. So swing states critical in this US election. So firstly, it is talking about how past two elections turned out to be demonstrated outsized impact of the swing factors in several states as the country became more polarized during 2016 and 2020. So it is in the end the small margins which makes a lot of difference. So even minor swing among the significant voting blocks in the swing states, it could turn the tide either ways. So how is the winner chosen in the US presidential elections? So US presidential contest is selected not by majority of the national popular votes, but by majority in the electoral college of 538, which is majority is 270. So members of the electoral college, they are apportioned between the states. And most US states, they have winners take it all system that allots all electors to the candidate who gets more popular votes. So whether a candidate has 1 or 1 million votes more than their opponent in California, for instance, all 54 electoral college votes of the share will be awarded to him. Okay, so इस तरीके से होता है तो electoral college को divide कर देते हैं and if the opponent or the person who is having more votes उनको ये सारे electoral votes चले जाते हैं. सो जब हम स्विंग स्टेट्स की बात कर रहे हैं तो उनका क्रिटिकल रोल क्या है पिकिंग द विनर तो फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ possibly when we talk tracking the changes or what is the opinion in these states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, and North Carolina, they're the main battleground states of this year's election. Between Mr. Trump and Ms. Harris. And the average polling error for more than 5 decades यहाँ बात हो रही है तो again so इस साल भी expectations ये है कि margins could be very narrow between these states. So let's see. 5 November is again the date of the I think date of election as we were talking about previously. What is the flight protocol for a bomb threat? So we have been seeing in the past 2 weeks, the cases related to the Hawks calls to the Indian Airlines have been increased massively. So one solution that we talked about is having a comprehensive law, as we have seen this case, like US is already having such law and with more penal actions, and even European Union. But here the challenge is again tracking down firstly the main culprit is one challenge given the technology and the anonymity that is associated with it. And now we're talking about the flight protocol. So like the airlines includes Air India, Vistara, Air India Express, as well as Indigo, Alliance Air, and Star Air. They faced wave of threats, emergency responses, and rerouting हुआ की वजह से there's been military fighter jet interception also of some of the flights when they were in international airspace. So there's an emergency transporter code also. So Sari threads, they are hawks. So what has firstly led to such massive increase in, or as we talk, wave of threats suddenly? Why this has happened? पहले से नहीं हुआ, and they have still led to significant flight delays हो रहे हैं, financial losses, massive financial losses हो रहे हैं to the airlines. लिखा है 13 lakh to 17 lakh in 1 hour. So what do we know about these threats? Firstly, the Union Civil Aviation Ministry and the minister says most threats have been through social media. So regulation of social media becomes firstly very important. Intelligence agencies, their role is important. Looking into the issue, there's a strong possibility of cases also being registered against them. And the threats are largely of online nature, tracking of IP addresses, virtual private network, they are in focus. So this brings the difficulty of, again, tracing down to the main culprit. So India has nearly 4,000 flight operations in a day. And the threats began, so this would mean over 275 threats for 48,000 since अगर हम track करते और जो forecast अगर हम करें. So emergency landing. So there's a kind of disruption which is overall happening. So it will definitely require a lot of investments in modern technology further, such as advanced call tracking systems needs to be installed. So even representatives of social media platforms concerned, they have indicated that they are committed to crack down on the terror threats being made against Indian flights. Now we have to focus on the results. So the International Civil Aviation Organization annexes 7 aviation security. So this was the again aviation security architecture that we can talk about, which is already in existence, but again it needs certain reforms and tweaks in order to be more effective and precise in terms of dealing with the emerging challenges. So formulation, adoption, the standards and recommended practices are there for international civil aviation. They are important. So there's this convention on international civil aviation, जिसको हम Chicago Convention बोलते हैं. So it measures against the acts of unlawful interference against the civil aviation throughout the world. So India में जब हम security agency की बात करते हैं regarding civil aviation, it is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. For infrastructure, it is the Airports Authority of India, and then we have the Directorate General of Civil Aviation for the regulation, the licensing aspect, apart from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So its main responsibility is to have in place firstly the standards, measures of security of civilian flights. The Director General of Civil Aviation is concerned with the safety. Other agencies which are involved directly, indirectly, Airports Authority of India, Central Industrial Security Force, National Security Guard, Intelligence Bureau, RAW is there, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Higher Judiciary. So ये बहुत important है. So we already have a law. So this is planned amendments to the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Civil Aviation Act of 1982. So legal action allow करेगा and will focus on in-flight incidents. So preparedness of every airport is important. Air traffic control agencies, they also have certain procedures to how to handle these threats, tackling the hawks calls, AI powered call analysis, voice stress analysis कर सकते हैं, comprehensive threat assessment चाहिए, rewards and incentives for the informers, that will be a positive measure. Quantum computing help कर सकते हैं. Aviation cyber security framework होना चाहिए, global hawks call database बनाना चाहिए. AI powered chatbots for initial threat assessment, profiling of the callers, psychological profiling. So placing the photographs of offenders on social media and on display at airports ये होना चाहिए. ISRO chairman is Somnath. He sets new dates 2026 for the Gaganyaan mission. Chandrayaan 4 के लिए likely in 2028. So we talked about previously in our geography session about the main objectives for Chandrayaan 4 would be to bring the sample from the lunar surface. We'll further assess it, and Gaganyaan mission 2026. So first human spaceflight mission from India would be the Gaganyaan mission. So here, global space economy, increasing the contribution in the global space economy to at least 10% in the next 1 decade from currently 2% is the target. So we're talking about NISAR, joint mission between India and US, or you can say NASA and ISRO. This is slated for the next year. Joint moon landing mission with Japan, जिसको हम LUPEX बोलते हैं, lunar polar exploration. So this would be Chandrayaan 5 mission for us. So first, Indians in Canada, their struggle and resilience. So of late, we've been seeing how Khalistan issue, it has become a bone of contention between India and Canada, and also regarding the Niger killing that India is involved, but again, without having any proof of this. This is again because how yesterday also we were talking about the importance of Indian diaspora from the perspective of availability of demographic dividend for even the countries who are facing, like there's increase in the aging population, the dependent population. So one is that positive context and the contribution which can happen in future from Indian diaspora. But now again, this is also one of the important spillover effects, that with time, if the contribution increases not just as a labor force, so their say would be increasing in the politics and the economy and decision making and policy making. So this thing has happened even in Canada also. So because of the local political dynamics, we see that the current incumbent Canada's government, it is again somewhere alleging India having the role in nature killing and all of that. So yeah, this is talking about historically first Indians in Canada, how they struggled and their resilience about this. So going back to 1897, some British Indian soldiers from Punjab, part of an official delegation from Hong Kong, they set sail on RMS Empress of India to London to celebrate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. Docked at Vancouver in British Columbia. So Risaldar Major, he is considered as first Indian settler in Canada. In 1902, we saw another batch of Indian soldiers who sailed into Victoria Harbour aboard RMS Queen of Japan. So most of the people were from villages in Punjab, districts like Jalandhar, Firozpur, all of that. So the migrants, you can see from 1904, the number started increasing in Canada. So initially, they worked in the timber industry in Canada and fishing in railways for the wages as low as $1 a day. So this was much lower than the local Canadian. So this was again one form of struggle which they had to go through. They had limited funds and they banded together. So they escaped the racial wrath aimed at Chinese and Japanese till the recession struck. So Asiatic Exclusion League was formed in 1907. So Labor Day rally by the members who were carrying Keep Canada white placards, because there were again apprehensions that if the rate of migration increases or immigration increases in Canada, so there is a possibility that they might outnumber the British Columbia's white population, which is therein. So that on that basis, they had a rally on the Labor Day against the immigration. So even Justin Trudeau's government has tightened the immigration rules in response to the rising anti-immigrant sentiment across the country. So 1907, there were race riots also. Many Indians lost their jobs and homes. Khalsa Diwan Society बनाई गई in Canada. Canada's first Gurdwara was also first in North America. So it was established in Vancouver. Then in further 1914 also more Punjabis arrived in British Columbia. Pomagatu Maru incident की हम बहुत बात करते हैं when talk about the modern history. So only 24 of them who were there on the boat, they were allowed entry into the Canada. So Gurdit Singh, he was attempted to arrest when they docked in Calcutta back. So even he has a memorial. There's a memorial paying tribute to him in Vancouver Harbor today. Then Guru Dutt Kumar tried to give South Asians a voice through his newspaper Swadesh Sevak. Bagh Singh, president of Khalsa Diwan Society, visited India to pressure the government to take action. So इसको बोलते हैं beginning of Canadization, so people immigrating to Canada. Then Mayo Singh Manhas from Parley village. So can go through important facts of how they've struggled. Most often we are talking about South Africa, and we can talk about Canada as well. So when it comes to ear implants, so this is one cochlear implant works. Signal is like first step is sounds, they are picked up by the microphone which is inserted. Like ऐसा होता है जो device fit किया जाता है which helps you in hearing. So sounds are picked up by this microphone. Secondly, जो signal है इसको फिर code किया जाता है, turned into special pattern of electrical pulses. And then this device which is above, these pulses are sent to coil and then these are transmitted across the skin to the implanted device. उसके बाद implant जो है उसको send करता है pattern of electrical pulses को to the electrodes in the ear, and the auditory nerve then picks up these electrical signals, sends them to brain, and then brain is recognizing these electrical signals. So we can talk about how modern technology is helping us in even treatment of diseases. Surgery is not required. You can use this device. So surgery is not the end. Now talking about women empowerment through respect, honor, and equality. Like particularly Uttar Pradesh model की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो prioritizing security, self-reliance, respect for half the population. So notable initiatives have been taken to secure environment for the women, promoting their self-reliance, garnering respect for them. So for example, anti-Romeo cards, this was built women's safety in the public spaces. Mission Shakti fosters more equitable, inclusive society. Women can realize the potential, contribute to the progress economically, and their financial independence is important. So welfare measures for the widows, then nutritious food supplements for women and children. Then Mukhyamantri Kanya Sumangla Yojana is there, supporting daughters from the poor families. So it is related to education, health, safety, overall empowerment of the women. Women-led development, a central dimension to India's progress. So yesterday also we were talking about Lapata ladies in the context of the gap which would be there by 2050 when it comes to the required number of women in the labor force. So there's pension yojana, women entrepreneurs को promote करने की हमने बात करी थी. Self-defense training programs are being run. These are again being run in the schools also. Banking correspondent Sakhis are there. So Swanidhi Yojana. Ujjwala Yojana का बहुत important role रहा है in terms of reducing indoor pollution, which is directly related to women health. So Pradhan Mantri Swamitva Yojana is there, receive the ownership certificates. So women entitlements of women are recognized. So this is also one way of women empowerment. One Sakhi, like Sakhi one-stop centers in all the districts of the state. It has been implemented to help the women victims against violence and trauma. Mudra Yojana की हमने कल बात करी कि the amount has now been doubled to 2 lakh rupees, sorry, 20 lakh rupees. So there are different helpline numbers also. So this is also very, very important, like CM helpline, woman power line, helpline, night assistant, police emergency. But इनका work करना at the same time is very important. Child line है, ambulance services, cyber helpline. But we can talk about कि कोई एक number नहीं हो सकता. Remembering so many numbers is again in itself is a challenge. Celebrating festivals sustainably, if we are seeing that of late, Diwali festival, which is again one of the major and the biggest festivals, which is related to the economy, the society angle, and even the environment, has become so much important that Diwali in this time drives everything. So, shining on the inside from involuntary deep cleaning muscle memory, sumptuous mithai buffet, and unfading magic of the melas and crisp new clothes. Diwali is a celebration of generosity, joy, about renewal and rejuvenation. So Diwali is all this cleaning and cleansing, the shopping, gifting, homecoming, family, but it is also an occasion to feel thankful. So feeling and emotions are they should be more priority. But again, we see that with so much of growth and digitization, that it is becoming more materialistic. So having in so many sweets at the same time will be हेल्थ के ऊपर नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट होता है विद इंक्रीजेस द रिस्क ऑफ डायबिटीज इवन जो क्वालिटी ऑफ स्वीट्स अवेलेबल होती है एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इन द मार्केट वो भी एक चैलेंज होता है एंड वी आर सीइंग दैट दिस टाइम major focus is on again only green crackers. So Diwali and its avatars, when you're talking about the different cultural traditions from the past, so like how festival means different things across the country. Like 28 states, UTs, 100 of cities, cultures spanning thousands of years. There is no homogeneous way. For example, Punjab. In Punjab, Diwali coincides with the Bandi Chor Divas. So it marks the day, the return of sixth Sikh Guru, Guru Har Gobind Singh, to Amritsar after having liberated 52 prisoners from Gwalior Fort who were being held captive by Mughal ruler Jahangir. So it is 7th century, 17th century that we're talking about. So this is one again association, the celebration of Diwali. Their liberator is considered as a liberator of the imprisoned. Then when talk about Awadh in Uttar Pradesh, it is celebrated as Jamghat. So literal translation, this word means gathering. Jamghat is a kite flying festival. So Nawabs of Lucknow ke saath they had for kite flying, known for being true symbol of communal harmony in Awadh. Bengal mein it is celebrated as Kali Pujo. 16th century se it is having origin when the tantric scholar Krishnananda uh, Agama Vagisha dreamt goddess Kali has asked him to worship her in all her feminine divinity. So तब से it is celebrated as Kali Puja in West Bengal. तमिलनाडु में अगर हम बात करते हैं So it is celebrated as Narak Chaturdashi to mark the killing of demon Bhaumasura by Hindu god Krishna. So mythology may we see all this. So we celebrate Diwali before the sun rises. We perform Ganga Snan ritual, ये सब किया जाते हैं. So this showcases that every region, every state having their own interpretation, their own way of celebrating, their own different intentions behind celebrating Diwali is also a marker of unity in diversity. Like Chhattisgarh में this reverence for animals isn't limited to Chhattisgarh though. छत्तीसगढ़ में लाइक जब हम देवरी देवरे की बात करते हैं ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी का अपना एक इंटरप्रिटेशन है. तो पिक्चर में आप देख सकते हो वेस्ट बंगाल से काली पूजा. So united we celebrate in a sustainable manner, decorating your places. Diwali is time for community, enjoyables to share traditions and customs, visit relatives and vicinity. Melas होते हैं, NGOs they support underprivileged. To connect with them, make donations, participate in their celebrations. This is, we can say, one true form of celebration of Diwali instead of again gifting to our neighbors जो एक symbolic होता है जिनसे हम पूरा साल बात भी नहीं करते उसके बाद. Then ancient cities unearthed in mountains of Central Asia. So the discovery suggests trade routes along Silk Road were far more complex than previously understood. So in mountains of southeastern Uzbekistan 2015 में there were the excavations being done. So two sites regarding there were the discoveries. So this is one city which was discovered जिसके बारे में और हमें पता लगा. It was an enormous fortified city dating back to medieval empire. इसको ताश बुलक भी बोलते हैं. So findings complicate the prevailing image of the Silk Road, which facilitated exchange of goods and ideas between people from China to Venice between the 2nd century BC and 15th century AD. So they were dragging caravans to the mountains. जब हम trade की बात करते हैं, then Malguzar mountains were rich in iron ore. So Tashbulak and Tungbulak, they may have been centers of weapons manufacturing because of rich in iron ore. They yielded pottery, coins, jewelry. Significance of ores and metals उस time पे कितना important था to the economy. So scientists say they have observed one of the highest altitude acts of bird predation ever recorded. Like at the height or altitude of 10,000 feet up. So still there also sky is a dangerous place. So off the coast of Wadden Sea of Netherlands. तो वेडन सी फर्स्टली हमारे लिए प्रीलिम्स के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है. So it breeds in the Arctic. So GPS tracker के through we were able to know how this happened at such a high height. For instance, data also revealed that plover sped up in the moments before it changed the direction. It had most likely spotted its attacker and unsuccessfully trying to get away. So it was because of another predator. This we've covered. How to do Diwali right. Some health tips for guilt-free festivities, managing overindulgence of food and drinks. Recovering right after the celebration एक दूसरा aspect हो गया. Do's and don'ts clearly mentioned. Overconsumption of Fat-rich food, skipping meals in attempt to compensate for overeating. Don't neglect your main meals. Then don't neglect self-care also. Avoid worsening insulin resistance. Avoid processed foods. So ये एक form हो गया, which is again a materialistic form of the options which are there और जिसको हम celebrate कर रहे हैं, जो हमें खुद hamper कर रहे हैं. Over intelligence यहाँ हम बोल सकते हैं, shouldn't be done or should be avoided. Recovering right may include fiber-rich foods, energy, hydration is the key. Returning to routine, another step, including probiotics in the diet. Finally, remember practice of self-care. So homemade options पे shift होना चाहिए. Plan meals and snacks in advance. Balanced diet के लिए practice moderation instead of overindulgence. Practice mindful eating. Incorporating healthier food like fruits and vegetables. Staying hydrated. Engaging in more physical activities like walking or light exercise to burn off the extra calories. Soft landing is a possibility जब हम global economic growth की बात करते हैं. So our finance minister says that the sense is we can only have better days than what we have seen in last few years. So last few years में जो situation थी बहुत challenging थी. We saw a lot of disruptions. So उससे worse और कुछ expectations हमारी नहीं है. तो आने वाले time में things are going to get better only. So we talk about the coordinated action between countries and multilateral financial institutions is important. We're talking about the reforms which are needed with, again, the challenge going forward is the increasing global debt. So how we are going to manage that is very, very important. The working and the governance of these multilateral development banks needs reforms. So regarding like IMF, जो Bretton Woods institutions हम बात करते हैं, IMF and World Bank, and even reforms in WTO. So I need to remember WTO is not a Bretton Woods institution. So even one role that can be played by social media companies as of now regarding these hawks calls is removal of the misinformation on the social media sites. So IT Act 2000 के under platforms have the immunity against legal prosecution for the content posted by the users. They have to provide information on the matter to law enforcement agencies within 72 hours. So this needs to be followed very strictly and diligently. 12 days, more than 275 flights operated. They have received the Hawks threats. So platforms will also be liable for consequential actions under the reformed criminal laws, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Additional liability hoga on intermediaries concerned under this law. So non-compliance will risk loss of safe harbor status to the social media companies. 30 flights get Hawks bomb, only one person held so far. So climate to artificial intelligence, Chief Justice of India calls for wider ambit for federalism. So federalism should be evaluated based on ability to foster democracy, equality, and liberty. So as we started our today's discussion with the impact of rain and climate change on the farmers, particularly soya bean cultivators in Madhya Pradesh, so that is also hampering or impacting their equality or the equity. So everything is interrelated to this. So he's talking, that is why he's mentioning widening the ambit of federalism. Federalism is not just only political in nature. Be it again climate change, artificial intelligence, cybercrime, they transcend the territorial boundaries. So they form the very basis of federal units today. So it needs to be again in sync in evolution. It should be so flexible with the changing and evolving times. So now ED raids and ticket sales, scam for Diljit and the Coldplay concerts. So tickets में भी यहाँ पे scam हो रहा है, that ED had to intervene. So you can imagine the scale of it first. Alleged irregularities after conducted raids in money laundering case. तो कंसर्ट की जगह उसके मतलब बैकग्राउंड में मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग हो रहा है, ब्लैक मनी इज इन्वॉल्व, पैसा कहाँ जा रहा है. It's like a very big network which is operating. Black marketing of tickets हो रहा है for two highly anticipated music concerts, which is by these two singers. So criminal case has been filed under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act because your black marketing हो रहा है, and investigations are underway of deceived and cheated through fraudulent ticket sales after rapid sellout of entry passes. So FIR was filed by this online booking portal. So it should be happening only in the digital way so that black marketing हो ही ना पाए. So जैसे डिजिटल ही अवेलेबल था बट उसके बाद फिर वो ब्लैक मार्केटिंग के थ्रू प्रैक्टिसेस देखी गई. एट exorbitant prices ब्लैक मार्केटिंग हुई है. फेक टिकट्स बेची जा रही है सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू. इंक्रीमेटिंग मटेरियल्स हैं, मोबाइल फोन लैपटॉप सिम कार्ड से हुए हैं जो सीज. स्कैम वर सीज ड्यूरिंग दी रेड्स. So Union Minister of Information Broadcasting, Electronics, Information Technology, private entities, ये सब involved है इसमें. So digital method should be the only way, and people should also realize the amount that they are paying for these concerts. Is it worth it, even if you're going ahead with buying it for black marketing? So you need to be again very aware about this. इसमें financial frauds भी हो सकते हैं of a big, very big amount. गए तो टिकट खरीदने थे चाहे वो black marketing के through हो, but financial fraud हो सकता है. How can you trust someone? So that's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining us on Ansarkari. Stay tuned for further detailed discussions and sessions in the upcoming sessions.